Hello Pocketeers, and welcome to whatever the hell it is that I'm doing here. I wanted to show what I used to get my 5-win streak for the Triumphant Light Versus events. You can see all the matches playing here while I talk about the deck. They weren't exactly massive blowouts, some folks conceded, but realistically that's going to happen until Ranked comes out. Let me talk about the lists, then I'll get into the process that led me to it, because I'm not going to pretend I magically hit my first 5 games when starting the event. Some people will say that, and some of them are lying, and some of them are not. It's not really important, though. The whole point is to get some pixels on the screen, and that's the goal, and maybe this will help you, who knows. Overall strat with this deck, we're looking to rush down the opponent and not let them get the win they probably deserve, to be honest. You've got strong turn 1 and 2 plays, so just get out there, flip some coins. You really only need a couple heads to make things go right. You don't have to hit everything. And if you do hit your heads a little bit luckily, it kind of messes things up hardcore, even if they're playing a consistent deck. For deck composition, you will notice one minor difference from the gameplay to the list I have up on the screen. Go ahead and use the execute that does damage. There's no reason not to. I think I was trying to brew something else and I just left that one in there when I was playing last night. But there was at least a couple times where I could have had an extra 20 damage in the pot out there, possibly making a difference in the long run. But if nothing else, it might bait a potion or get them to retreat sooner or something, so who knows. Maybe you just get lucky and you happen to get 2 shots off on something with a weakness too. Either way. So Execute Executor, they're not unfamiliar to anybody who's been playing for any amount of time. Executor, the thing that's probably better than the 1 energy attack that's potentially 80 damage is the 160 HP. It's just really tanky for a 1 energy thing. It's such a great turn 1 play because you have the execute out there and then it's fully powered up by the time it rolls back around to your turn. I went with Heracross as the support for this one. I'll get into how I came around to brewing the deck in a second, but Heracross, it has direct synergy with Barry, it's kind of the point, and it has the capacity for 1 energy with that combo to do either 50 damage or 120 damage. It's really risky in terms of you just don't want to rely on it, but you can say risky and it's not that bad because there's not a downside. It's not like you take damage if you flip tails or something, but you need to flip 2 heads to do 120 damage, or it doesn't matter what you get and you can do 50 damage. It's comparable to Starmery. I think it's good. If you have both berries chilling in your hand, you can do it when you have 2 energy and 1 energy and you're getting to attack both those turns. You can just do it on one of the turns. It gives you some flexibility with what to swap around. It's also only a single prize, so 100 HP, single prize. It could affect things by itself. You just need something for them to hit to make their big attacker vulnerable or their EX or something. Getting into the trainers, Barry, it's kind of obvious. It reduces the cost of Heracross's attack by 2 colorless, so it lets you turn that on sooner. In theory, you only need like 3 energy to make this deck live, like the total everything, so it's kind of ridiculous. Cyrus is end game point taking, and it's what it is. You're probably doing a decent chunk to whatever's in front of you. If they do try to retreat and stall out or set up, then it gives you kind of an easy out to possibly end the game. And what would a grass deck be without Erica? It's nice because Erica provides some good healing without you having to slow down your tempo at all. And tempo is important here, but basically if you can get off an extra swing, if you can get off 3 or 4 swings from a thing versus 2 or 3 swings, it can make a really big difference. Cape, just running it one of. I mean, it's useful, but it's not the main focus. Helmet is kind of more important. Leaf, so with the retreat costs in this deck, I feel like 1 leaf is probably fine. You're trying to finish them off early, so you're less worried about retreating, but it's nice to have the option. Sometimes it will come into play. I would argue you could swap this with an X speed. I mean, it's going to cost more to retreat, like, say, Executor EX, but it also leaves you open to swap into something and drop Berry or Cyrus or something, so I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer here for that. I think it's just kind of a flavor thing. Pokeballs research is extremely basic. 2 helmets. Just drop them on whatever is in front. It does not matter. You don't have to be strategic about it. You're just trying to get all the damage out that you can early. If you force them to drop a Sabrina earlier, like, that's not a bad thing. It's trading a card for a card. It's cool. And 1 Pokemon Communications. So this might not be necessary, but because I wanted the focus to be on early game so much, I just wanted any amount of stability I could throw in that's not overdoing it. And I feel like 1 is probably reasonable. If you really wanted to be fancy, you could replace Leaf with an X speed and replace the Pokemon Communications with Giovanni, and you'll probably snipe some stuff you otherwise wouldn't have. But that's more just down to flavor, I think. I want to ramble a little bit about how I came about brewing this deck. Maybe somebody takes away from, you know, some deck building ideas or something, I don't know. But basically, I was trying out a bunch of other stuff. I've been working on other jank decks for more of those kinds of videos. In particular, I'm working on one with the absolutely terrible Giratina. And I've really just tried to find a way to make that, like, have a hint at viability, and man, it's so hard right now. Basically, though, one of my favorite newer cards from the Triumphant Light set is Staraptor. I love the 130 damage. I love being able to berry for the 130 damage, you know, off of 1 energy. You can have this random, you know, stage 1 medium evolution just hanging out on your bench and no energy on it, and then all of a sudden it's pulling 130 out of nowhere, and it's just fantastic. It's really, really good, like, feeling to pull off anyway. But I started playing the Emblem events as soon as it rolled around, pretty much. I think it starts at 10 p.m. I'm on the West Coast for me, and I started playing like 11:15, something like that. I purposely wanted to play at the beginning because that's when it's gonna be the sweatiest. That's when the people who are more hardcore about it are gonna be just jumping on it right away, right? And I wanted to see if I could make any of my stuff work. Short version, I could not get any of my Staraptor decks to work. I had like 3 different builds, I was trying different things, and I kept being a turn behind. It was literally 1 turn, but nonetheless, I was just too slow, and a lot of times it came down to I just didn't see the medium one, or I didn't see the highest stage one until it really would have mattered. And then one of my builds for that is also Dialga based, and it's basically, you can either have Arceus, who's just a basic, who does 130 damage for 3 colorless energy, or you can have a stage 2 evolution that has the same requirements pretty much. I mean, granted, you don't get berry access, but yeah, it's just like, oh, this is kind of the strictly better version. It's fine. Didn't pull Arceus EX, didn't pull any Leafeons, so I'm like, what can I do here? I tried rebrewing Blaine, because I used to love Blaine, and that wasn't, you know, giving me any gas. I tried really hard to make that work. There was a couple other ideas I was tossing around. So then finally I was like, fine, we're going back to the drawing board. Oh, I tried Venusaur as well, Venusaur stall, because I've had a bit of luck. And again, I was coming up just short, just a little tiny bit short. So I needed something better. I was like, we're going to start completely from scratch. I think by this point it was like a little past midnight, something like that. And I was like, what's the most I can do on turn 2? Like, what is the most, even if it's completely unlikely? So Misty exists, right? That's always been a thing. But I was looking at it and I was like, well, Executor EX exists. It's really good for turn 1. You know, it's fast. Because then you can just evolve onto it, and on turn 3 you're swinging into them already, potentially for 80, you know, but even a 40 just isn't bad on a big tanky thing. But then I was like reading over Barry again, because I was already hung up on Staraptor, and I'm like, wait, what does Heracross do again? So I went and looked, and I'm like, oh, Heracross is Skarmory, but like with the potential for way more damage and more hit points base. So I'm like, okay, we can do something with this. So yeah, I threw it together. I changed up my trainer loadout a little bit. I mean, I think everybody's trainer loadouts look kind of the same. But yeah, basically I was just trying to calculate the chance of possibility mixed a little bit with some stability and sustainability. Not just automatically losing because your dudes are like low hit points or whatever. And I don't know, I was pretty happy with it. Again, obviously this isn't the most competitive set. I just wanted to, as I always want to, I want to show that you can be a little bit creative, you can play around with stuff and still reach some of your goals. And don't get me wrong, stuff that is meta is good. It's good because it's efficient. It's good because it's probably better than a bunch of other cards that do similar things. That doesn't mean that's all you ever have to play though. At the same time, don't get mad if your idea doesn't work. Just try to make it the best you can, and sometimes it's just not gonna work no matter how much love you put into it. Card games are usually good about putting out random bits that help out legacy decks down the line, so you might even be able to use it later. Ultimately though, the frustration doesn't help you. Like, being mad at other people because they play good cards doesn't make your cards any less bad, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of a backwards way of saying that, but I mean, you have to be realistic about stuff too. But I mean, ultimately, it's all for fun. Play what you want. But if you aren't happy with the results you're getting, you know, sometimes you might have to crank it up a notch too. That about wraps it up, folks. I hope you feel like I only partially wasted your time today, and by all means, feel free to like, share, sub, spread the love, and give me a reason to keep making this nonsense. It's your boy No Bribes signing off.